everyone, Alex again, here to bring you episode 6 of Guild Wars Corner. Wow, I didn't think I'd even get to episode 6. I didn't think I'd pass episode 2, but the comments from everyone have been great, and a lot of the feedback has been wonderful, and going to cover a few things today. The first thing I wanted to cover, though, today was kind of a neat story in my guild recruitment. Again, we're still recruiting right now, but there was a guy, he contacted me about 2 days ago, and he says he wants to join. So we go through the interview, and I'm going through the Steam chat, or the Steam vocal voice chat, and next thing I know, I notice he's got kind of a European accent, and I look over at my clock, and it's 9:30 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time for me. So I'm like, well, what time is this guy at? And he comes back and says, well, I'm in Belgium, and he stayed up until about 3:30 in the morning just to contact me in order to join the guild. Now that was almost mind-blowing. I was really honored, actually, that someone would stay up that late in order to try and join the guild. And that kind of leads me to the second point. We do have quite a few EU members joining the guild right now, and just today I've appointed a member of the guild that can act as an EU point man in order to handle any kind of recruitment issues that are coming from Europe. So if you would like to join Digital Conquest and you're in the European time zone, don't worry, we got you covered. Even though I myself am North America, and we have a few other members in North America, it's almost now 50-50 split between North America and EU, and I am perfectly fine with that. I think that'd be wonderful. So if you would like to join, I now have a dedicated member who can handle doing recruitment. His name is Maryln Scott. I'm going to put it down in the video description down at the bottom, and look him up and see what's going on. He's usually on. He's on quite a bit, so you could probably catch him at some point. Or if not, you can always catch me when I'm on. And that's kind of the things about Guild Wars, that it doesn't have the most robust recruiting system in the world, and it's kind of a headache sometimes. I mean, I'm used to more things like EVE Online or some of the newer stuff like Dota that can handle invites and things like that a lot better. But EVE Online, but with Guild Wars, it's very much just trying to catch the person and kind of on the cuff. But we're going to try and smooth this out and get some more people involved. We got quite a few people already, so we're getting kind of close to the guild hitting that critical mass. And what I mean by critical mass is that point where the guild can be self-sustaining and have activity going on without myself having to be there, because of course I'm very busy. I have a full-time job, and so I'm not going to be on every single night, of course, and I've been on almost every single night right now, but that's mostly because I'm handling recruitment. And I want to make sure that the guild gets to the point where there's enough activity going on that it doesn't need to be spurned. There's always going to be someone online that can be helpful, that can help you if you want to come in, and if you're brand new to Guild Wars, they can help you. Like I said, we got several guys that are much better than I am in running through a lot of the PvE missions. We got some PvP players starting to come in, and that's something I really hope to get going here pretty soon, as I mentioned in earlier episodes, and we'll kind of go from there. But that's one of the key things, is trying to get kind of the PvP off the ground as well. We got a lot of PvE activity right now, and our guys are really good at it, but we want to get PvP going as well. That has always been a very positive aspect, and that's kind of the part of Guild Wars that really is kind of in trouble, and that's something I feel is something that needs to really be worked on inside Guild Wars. The PvE portion, and this is kind of a mixed blessing in my opinion, is something that can be done solo, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because when Heroes came out in Nightfall, it really gave the impression that you can run the game solo, and frankly you can run the game solo, but I'm not so much sure that's a good thing, because Guild Wars is a social game, and it begs the question, how many people have foregone trying to get into a guild or into an organization just simply because they know they can run through the whole game solo with heroes and not even bother with the whole interaction, and how much that has affected the game inside Guild Wars. So the fact that, really to run a lot of the content, especially most of the PvE content, you don't need a guild. If you want to do PvP, well, there you go. It's very good that you can do a guild and get into a guild. But with PvE, you don't need a guild. I'm not so much sure that's a good thing. And I was looking at some of the reviews, especially for Nightfall when it was released back in late 2006. And even Eye of the North 2007, it became very clear that Guild Wars as a series really started to veer heavily onto the PvE side and away from the PvP side, and there was a lot of controversy about that, especially among the reviewers, that, you know, was this a good thing? Did this really get away from the core of Guild Wars and into something else that, frankly, we've seen really come out in Guild Wars 2? You know, that is now almost completely opposite of Guild Wars. And as I mentioned in previous episodes, you know, Guild Wars 1 was a different animal than Guild Wars 2. But I think you can take that even farther and say, you know what? Guild Wars 2 is not just different, it's the opposite of Guild Wars 1. It is very PvE focused, and the PvP I've heard is pretty much a Zerg rush, especially towards the end of the game, or something I'm not too keen on. You know, that's not really, you know, an even level PvP, because, you know, it's a game and we want to make sure that we're kind of on an even playing field, at least, where it's not just simple numbers and you just bum rush the whole place. But that's something that really needs to be addressed inside Guild Wars 2. That's a Guild Wars 2 issue. Guild Wars 1 has different issues, but again, it really illustrates the difference between one and the other. Also, an interesting comment came up today in Guild Wars Corner Episode 5. There was a guy that mentioned today that he didn't even realize that Guild Wars 1 was still open, that it was still running. He thought it closed down a long time ago. And that also kind of begs the question, how many people think that there just simply is no Guild Wars 1, that they turned off the servers a long time ago? When in fact that's not the case. You know, of course, the Guild Wars 1 is still going. The servers are still going. Again, they're on the Guild Wars 2 server, so as long as they're still going, we're not going anywhere. And we still bring in at least a little bit of revenue for ArenaNet, at least I hope so, to justify keeping Guild Wars 1 going. So that would be great if more people can get into Guild Wars that may have not realized that Guild Wars 1 is still going, and give it another shot, another opportunity. So that was kind of a neat comment, and I really like reading people's comments, because one of the things I'm always kind of worried about, and any YouTube creator is always worried about, is when the YouTube trolls find you. They come out of the woodwork, and everyone has seen YouTube trolls who go on almost any other channel, any channel that's been a big hit. You just see them come out of the woodwork and they just trash the place. I mean, YouTube trolls can make Xbox Live trolls look like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I mean, they are absolutely awful. But thankfully, everyone has been very supportive. You know, I've gotten some feedback on things that can be improved. I always welcome feedback, as long as it's good feedback. It's not just trash talk or, you know, trying to knock me down or something like that. I'm almost expecting that, you know, in YouTube at this point. But thankfully, that's not been the case. And I've incorporated some of the feedback. You know, for one example, someone said that the intro music and the mic level was inconsistent in the video, and he's right. And what I did was actually, I couldn't raise the mic level, but I dropped the intro music down to where they're a little more even. So that's been addressed. The other thing I want to ask is if you have something you want to see, or if you have a comment. You know, again, this doesn't have to be just strictly what I want to talk about, you know, every single day, because even I will run out of content at some point. I can talk for hours, and I've bored my roommates doing so back when I was in college. But if there's something you want to see, or something you want me to talk about or discuss inside Guild Wars, inside the community, or even outside of Guild Wars, that's one of the ideas I was playing with today. You know, maybe not just strictly focus on Guild Wars, maybe go into a few other games. Now, there is a guy on YouTube, and he is a guy that I really admire, but I think he does his channel right. And he is over in the World of Tanks side, and his name is, on YouTube name, is The Mighty Jingles. And if you've not seen his work, really go see it. It is very well done, and his format kind of gave me the idea of doing roughly the same thing for Guild Wars that he did for World of Tanks. Now, in his format, he does World of Tanks mostly, but it's not the whole thing. He also does War Thunder. He does Star Citizen that's coming out. He also does Elite Dangerous. He touches quite a few things, but he separates it out. So he has one show that he calls Mingles with Jingle, which is kind of the Guild Wars Corner that I'm doing right now, which is kind of more of a dialogue, back and forth, touching topics that he wants to touch or I want to touch inside video gaming and in kind of our respective areas, his World of Tank and myself Guild Wars. But he also does specific shows on specific topics, and he does things strictly on War Thunder, or he does things strictly on a preview event for Elite Dangerous or some things like that. And that's what I'm kind of thinking of doing inside this channel here. So in this episode, I'm really going to be focusing on developing the Guild Wars core channel to make it larger, to make it expand quite a bit more, and also to incorporate things you want to see inside the channel, not just me blathering on and boring you to tears for 15 minutes. I like to think I'm relatively entertaining, but I may not be. What's Alex talking about? Alex is full of crap. He doesn't, and we'll kind of, go from there, because I really like to make sure you're being let's say serviced, but you're being addressed, in what you want to see, and also what I want to see. And as long as they jive together, we can make something very special here. So I am ramping up the channel in YouTube. I've changed the name. It used to be just a placeholder name that I just made up. The word doesn't even exist. I just made it up. Now it's called Event Horizon. I'm going to hold it there for right now, and I'm going to develop the channel from there. It's going to be focused, again, on Guild Wars 1 and what I've been doing, but also it's going to expand content out from there. It can deal with very specific topics in Guild Wars, very specific builds. One caveat, though, I'm going to talk about things that I know inside Guild Wars, and as I mentioned before, I am no expert inside guilds, so there may be some places where you may ask for something and I just frankly don't know it, or I don't feel I'm on the level to really talk about it confidently enough and not lead you astray. So if you ask me a whole bunch of questions on dervishes or paragons and I have no clue, I'm not going to BS my way through it. I'm just say, hey, I don't know it yet. I'm going to get there eventually as I continue to play Guild Wars, and then we'll address it at that time. Or maybe we can even find someone who knows that build a lot better and have him address it, and maybe bounce questions off of that individual. So that's another idea that I've been playing with. So developing the channel, expanding it out, not making just strictly Guild Wars Corner where it's kind of a monologue once or twice a week, and presenting more concrete content that you would be interested in is something that I would like to focus on. So going from there, I'm really excited to see how things develop. I've got 25 subscribers, and I know, for almost any other YouTube channel, that's, they probably make that in a day or something like that. But I was really impressed with getting to that level, and the feedback, mostly the feedback. The feedback has been the key thing of how much this channel, or what I'm trying to accomplish, and the feedback, and bringing attention back to Guild Wars, which is a game that so many people enjoy, so many people had loved back in the day, and trying to kind of resuscitate it, and bring it back into the fore. It doesn't need to be, smushed into the background. Yeah, there's a lot of other MMORPGs out there that are older, but they're still active. Heck, they're still running Meridian 59. That is the oldest MMORPG 3D that's out there, and it was released in 1995, and it still has a community. Guild Wars, I think, however, is something that doesn't need to be on that perpetual type of life support. I think Guild Wars has the opportunity to be something very unique, because it frankly was really ahead of its time. But the key thing is for ArenaNet not to look at Guild Wars 1 as being in competition with World of Warcraft anymore, but in Guild Wars 1 being in competition with League of Legends and Dota 2, Defense of the Ages 2, which is the MOBA style of gameplay, which I think Guild Wars is actually closer to that than it is closer to World of Warcraft. So anyways, that, slight tangent there, but something I want to focus on, and you're really looking forward to seeing what I can do. So if you have an idea, feel free to put it in the comments below, and we'll kind of go from there.